Hey, it's Karen from Liongate Farm, and today I'm going to teach you on the fly how to make this cute little raccoon ornament. Today, I'm going to teach you how to make this tiny little raccoon. He could be an ornament. He's a little bit posable because he has wired arms and legs and tail. His tail is posable. So let me show you what you're going to need. And this is a quick way to make a raccoon. It's not a full armature. It's just a quick little, if you need a tiny little raccoon for something, let's put it that way. So you're going to need some kind of gray. This is actually called gray, Corriedale. This one has the fog color that we used on the elephants last week. And then you'll need some black and white, a little bit of white. You're going to need some core wool. Rippy, sit down. My dog is down here. A tiny bit of yellow. This actually should go behind his eyeballs instead of the white that I used. You should put yellow. I put a little bit of blush in his ears. You're going to need 2 pieces of wire. Just 2 little 18 gauge wires. One is 7 inches. And one is, I believe, 14 inches. Hey, it's been since this morning since I cut these. So, I have to remind myself what length they are because I don't have any. I'm winging it today. This is actually backwards. I do that every time. 7 inches. And it should be 14. Yeah, it is. It's 14. And 14 inches. Okay, so 7 inches, 14 inches. We will use these in a minute. You need a skewer. If you're cutting your wire, you're going to need your wire cutters. Maybe some scissors to trim up this little fun stuff. I use a Sharpie for his mouth because it comes out a nice clean line rather than fiber. So let me get started and show you what we're aiming for. The first thing we're going to aim for is this little body right here. And it looks harder than it is. You're going to take your core wool. Whoops. Oh well. And you can tear off a piece, split it down. And he ends up approximately, I am just dropping everything, 4 inches tall. So the first thing we're going to want to do is make a 3-inch little cone. It's almost like you're making a gnome. Take your core wool and you're going to wrap it super tight. Don't let it get bigger than 3 inches. Don't do that, or you'll have a very tall raccoon. So once you have your first wrap on, do a little stabbing down here. Let me add some more. So you want it bigger at the bottom. And I'm wrapping it pretty tight because, work smarter, not harder. Tighter you wrap it, the less you have to poke it. Again, don't let it get bigger than 3 inches. And we're about what we're going for, and I'll give you some measurements for this in a second. I always felt on this bottom side of the skewer because when I pull the skewer out, I don't want it to come with it. Rip is doing a big, it's almost my dinner time sigh. I don't know if you could hear that. We always seem to film around his dinner time. So I'm gonna stab that off a little bit. So what we've got going on here is we're at about 1.5 by 3. So you need a little cone, 1.5 by 3. I told you this is a super easy one. All right, so the next thing you're gonna do is you are gonna take your skewer. We're gonna add the wire right now. I want you to think about a center point, and then like we're gonna make a triangle. So, but we're gonna go straight back. This is kind of a crazy way to build an armature. But like I said, this is economy raccoon. We're not doing a full armature. And we're gonna come back out, think triangle. Putting it back in over here. All right, and we're gonna come around, follow that skewer through with your wire, just like that. Now, the legs out front here end up being 1.5 sticking out from the side. Okay, the tail ends up being about 2 inches. So you see where I'm getting at here. This wire is probably way too long. Hold on. Just so you know what we want, we'll get there. So we want about 2 inches in the back. So let's twist this. Okay, so you're gonna twist this guy. So you end up with about 1.5 inches from the middle of his body. So then just follow and then tuck the wire, just let the wire go under. Just let the wire go under. So same thing on the second side, bend it back. And we're gonna twist it. You can leave that. We're gonna, I pinch it with my fingers. You probably can, you know, pinch it with your pliers. All right, so here we have 2 little legs, all right? One looks a little longer than the other, so I'm gonna bend it back. I'm just gonna bend that back. All right, 2 little legs, little tail, and then take your little 7-inch wire, and it's gonna end up about right here. And it's the same kind of deal. We want to end up with, remember I told you I'm just winging it today, 1.5 inches. So the legs and the arms are about the same. So let's just twist it. You want to end up with about 1.5 inches here. These tiny little hands. You know, if we were doing a technical raccoon, we would give them fingers, but we're not. We're doing this tiny, tiny little guy that can be an ornament. All right, so I've got, and his arms will move back and forth a little bit for right now, especially since I didn't twist that all the way. Give it a couple more twists. All right. It's like, yay, I'm a tiny-headed raccoon. No, just kidding. So now let's put his head on. So for his head, I want you to take a little bit of core wool. All right, I see that there's some VM in here, and I'm going to pick it out because this is his nose. Very small amount. We are going to make his little nose first. So we have this skinny little nose built on our skewer. We wrapped it on our skewer, and it's about 3/4. Okay, I want you to just wrap back behind it a little bit. And we're not taking it off the skewer yet. We're going to build the whole head here. So his whole head from front to back is a little shy of 2 inches. Take those other pieces that you have left from that first one. And we know we need to be about 2 inches. So we're almost there. So I just want you to wrap here a couple times around. And then I want you to go, we need like a little oval right here. You can see we're getting it. We don't want this to be too long, or he will become something other than a raccoon. So just keep poking that in a little bit. So one way, if you figure eight it, we're going to go that way and then that way. And that's going to start tying that nose in. I hope you can see what I'm doing. All right, so we have this tiny little head, and we're just shy of 2 inches. And right now it's about 1.5 inches. Okay, but it's going to get bigger. And I have a little bit of fringe back here. And so I'm going to put this on here, and I'm just going to start poking this down onto his neck. Kind of using that fringe that I left there. His head will get bigger as we connect it. But let's get this fringe on here first. Since I'm using these as an ornament, I debated whether or not to wire his head up so I could pose it, but since it's a little ornament, I didn't. It's just a quick little raccoon ornament. Everybody loves raccoons in their trees. What is your favorite Christmas ornament that you have? Mine is this light up snowman dude. It's very cool. And he's big. He always has to go way up high on the tree because he's so big. I have so many ornaments, I think I could decorate 4 trees, maybe more. Need to start giving them to my kids. So you can see that I'm felting his head tighter, but I haven't added to it yet. I will. I promise I will. So you can see we have pretty much the length of the nose that we need. Just want to make this nice and solid. And attached. So I'm going to add just a little bit of coral around his head, and we're going to figure eight it on. So I'm coming under, back, like a bandage around. And that is all the coral we're going to use on his head. Because we want to build up his, this is called his stop right here. We're going to build that up a little bit. My sister calls these guys trash pandas. And they are. I have a lot of raccoons that like to steal my cat food. We have a big pond here at the ranch, and when you have a pond, you have critters. We have raccoons is one of them. And then we have muskrats and everything else you can name. I'm just going to get this all nice and felted in. We're just about there. how these ideas are born is I had somebody say, I need a raccoon ornament. I will pick it up on Monday. And I'm like, I don't even know if I can make a raccoon ornament. So that's why I told you I'm winging it right here for you, because I made one. Now we're going to make some more. All right. The next thing you're going to do is take a little tiny bit of black. Tiny. You don't want a lot. So this is like 6 inches, but thin, very thin. And we are going to wrap the whole arm. You can use your tacky wrap or your swax or whatever if you want, but you don't need to. I'm just going to go down. All the way to the end, come back up. Leave just a little bit over the end. And at the end, just felt a tiny bit. You know what I'm going to say here? If you have power wax, you can put power wax on it. There's a couple websites out there that still have it. Hopefully I'll be able to carry it on mine pretty soon. Working on that. Speaking of websites, I've been kind of holding out on you guys. I'm doing a massive website update right now. And if you need dyed locks, you better go get them. Because there's a ton. And a lot of them are singles. A lot of them are single colors. There is a lot of colors. I only haven't done the red bin yet. And then I've put all the blending packs up there. And they're one-offs, so if you don't get it now, you won't get it. Okay, so we're going to do the arms and the legs the same way. We're going to just take a little bit and do each one. And then you're going to come back on each one and take, again, small amounts. We're using this gray. It's a natural gray, I believe, Corriedale. And we're going to wrap down his arm. Just leave his little tiny hand out and come back up and secure it. And I will power wax these because I can see my wire, because we can do a good job. Okay, so we're going to do that to all 4 appendages. Probably take me about 15 minutes. Okay, so I wrapped his 2 arms and his 2 legs, and the extra I just worked into the body, because now we're just going to take a little piece of gray. You're going to make a little pillow. I don't like the legs to be tall right here. You're just going to make his little haunch. Make your little pillow. So what I did is I just took a little piece and I rolled it up. Make a little pillow. And I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to tuck it in. It can come down the leg. It's going to graduate down the leg. And we'll keep building that up. So we're just giving him a semblance of a leg here. It goes all the way to his tail. So one little semblance of a leg. Let's make another one. Tear off a little piece, make a pillow. These are pretty squishy pillows. We're going to add it right there. Again, it goes from his leg, around to his tail. He has this little haunch coming on right here. And while we're at it, we might as well just fill this in right here. Just take a little bit. If you want him to sit on the table instead of being an ornament, this needs to be pretty flat right here. I'm going to switch to my pen tool because it's just a little bit faster for a big area. Just to work all that in. Now you can see he's starting to look like he has sitting here with some legs. Smooth that in. Might add a little bit for a belly here in a minute, but let's get him covered. Saving the face for last. We'll cover the back of him. Figure out which way it works best for you, wool-wise. I just tend to use little pieces to get him covered, because he's kind of a little dude. Cannon and I just figured out that January is our 1-year anniversary for videos, which is pretty cool. We might have to do something special on our January 1st, first week of January video to celebrate. You can see I'm just working that fiber in as I cover up his body, and it forms his body because he's such a little guy. Every little bit you add. All right, so we've got these little arms. Let's get to work on his head. We'll do his tail very last. All right, we need a little head. So what we're gonna build here, we need some ears, and then we need to build this part out. So for his ears, they're little. I'm gonna do 2 little stacks of gray. That's kind of a big stack. Let's make it bigger over here. And I draw the ear. So you're going to draw 2 tiny, almost circles, leaving fringe. You're going to leave fringe down here. And I'll tell you what they measure here in a second, but they're small. Tiny little ears. I mean, they are a half by a half. So tiny little 1/2-inch ears. You don't want too much fiber. Don't want them too thick. And remember, once you get them pretty much stabbed the first way, let's flip them over. then once you get them all stabbed, we have this little half circle. We're gonna find the end of his nose, triangle up. First ear's gonna go about right here. Use that fringe. I like to put the ears on first because then we can hide all this fringe. We have one ear. Right now it looks like a little bear. It's pretty crazy how almost everything looks like everything else until just one little detail. Make sure your ears are, that one needs to come over it this way a little bit. Make sure they're in the right place. Like he looks like a bear or a pig, a cross with a pig. Or a mouse with super tiny ears. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is take some white. We're not going to use a lot of white, but we're going to use some white. I want you to take a very small amount. We're going to cover his nose. This has somebody's farm in it. I'm going to take it out because it will show. We're just going to cover his little nose. Don't put too much or you're going to lose his skinny little nose. And I actually am bare right here. But since we're going to go down into his chest, drop my needle. We're going to go down into his chest. I'm going to take it down under here. Just a tiny bit. Let's get this well poked in. A little tiny bit more on the end of his nose. Okay, so we got that part done. Now we want to look at gray. We're going to do the gray next. And I want you to, well, let's take a little piece first. We're going to come down the middle of his nose. Not a thick piece, a thin piece. We want to go right to the end. Let's go right to there. And it's okay to build this up just a hair. We're going to fill this all in. There's probably other tutorials out there that show you how to do this. But I am, like I said, I'm winging it for you. I wanted a tiny guy. I'm going to build this cheek up just a little bit, not a lot. I'm kind of sculpting in where his neck is, the back of his head. You can kind of see his eye's going to go right in that area. You can kind of see it taking shape. Let's go back this way. Needs a little bit more here. Build up the back of his head a little tiny bit. Think about the little raccoon on, oh darn it. Now I had it and I forgot it. What movie is that? With the raccoon. Oh, I know you know what I'm talking about. You know, outer space movie. That's right, Kenna doesn't watch movies. Oh my goodness. Don't fall on your head. Chapter 25. I can't remember stuff anymore. So we're coming around this side. Let's just fill this in around that ear. Okay, Ken, it's going to drive me crazy now. The movie with Groot in it. With the little raccoon that talks. He's the pilot. With Chris Pratt. Oh my gosh.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, yes.
I haven't seen it. I just Googled it.
Oh my goodness. You haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
I haven't.
Oh my goodness. It's a good movie. Mostly because of Chris Pratt. But that's subjective. Hey, do you know, I didn't see Princess Bride until a week ago. Ever. We owned it. John said it was sacrilege. He made me sit there and watch it. It was pretty funny. Okay, so he's almost looking like a raccoon. So now let's give him some fluffy face. You notice I keep poking like right here to make this kind of flat. Because you want it to go down and out. And then I'm pushing this back a little bit. Kind of, if you are not familiar with raccoons, it's good to like get out an encyclopedia or Google, get out Google and look at some pictures. And you can see that this is, and you'll see this is a whimsical representation of a raccoon. So I'm firming him up all over the place. All right, let's finish his face. So what we're going to do now is make this fluffy stuff. So its head, even though it's the same width, it looks fatter. So the first color we're going to put on is black. And I want you to tear off 2 pieces about the same size. So they are approximately, I'm giving you an idea because we can always trim these down. They are approximately, 2.5 to 3 inches, and you're going to fold it in half. Just going to fold it in half. This piece is going to go on this side of its head. I'm going to poke it in. Okay, so you want it round. Might have too much here. You don't want to go too far down into the white. Yeah, that might have been too much. It's okay, I can trim stuff off. So we're going to just poke that in. But you're only going to poke it in. You want to leave this all on the outside of its head loose. So what you're poking in, kind of just poke a circle in. Take the other piece. Since I used too much on that side, I'll use too much on this side. So they match. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. You need to leave a space in between. Right here, going down his nose. You know, they always look funny before they're done. You notice I'm poking right around the edges and then in the center because I want this edge kind of sharp. That's why we folded it. All right, so we have some black in here. Don't go up into his ear. You want a space between his ear and his eye. I know it looks kind of funny right now, right? So next, we're going to take a little white, littler amount, way littler, because that goes underneath, and we're going to go from here to there. Don't worry about how much is hanging out over here. We're going to trim that up, but you do want to poke this back to there. So you can see that's going to come to there. Let's do a little bit more white over here. You can kind of see what's going to happen. To me, this is what makes the whole raccoon whimsical, his fluffy face. So I'm going to poke this white all in his muzzle nice and tight up to his head. Leave that fluff. We're going to trim that. Okay, so here's what we got. Got this guy that needs some eyeballs. All right, where's my little bits of yellow? Kind of want this round. You know, they're bandits. All right, so take just a tiny bit of gold or yellow. And you're going to roll 2 little balls. I'm just setting them up there. And then we're going to poke some tiny little eyes in here. These are probably 3/8 of an inch circle or less. They're really small. This is one side. I definitely like the yellow better than the white. And then You need these well felted, because you know what I'm going to do next. You can take a little tiny ball of black and you can poke it in there. You know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say you get a better line with a Sharpie. So wait, first let's put his nose on before we get out our Sharpie. You can see he's gonna, so we need a little ball of black. You might want to stab this a little bit before we put it on the end of his nose. Roll it up, stab it, because it's not attached to his nose per se too much. It's just gonna go right here. So you want it sticking out, kind of. Not kind of, you want it sticking out like that. So he has a little sticking out of nose. And then I want you to poke a line. I like them to smile, so I'm going to poke a smile up to my line on the side. Let's poke another line over the side. Look at it from all the sides so you don't come out totally lopsided mouth. Take your time on this because the devil's in the details. All right, you know me and my Sharpie. So when you're putting in Sharpie, you want to tap it. Tap his eyeballs in. This way you can get even eyeballs without losing your yellow. And then we're going to fill in his smile, same way. If you're not super felted here like you should be, this will not work. And then I always like to give him a freckle or two on the sides. See that? He's turning into a raccoon. Cannon wants to see. So see? Turning into a raccoon. He's very cute. So next, we need to finish his fluffs. We're going to take some gray, and we're just going to go across the back, under his ears. This helps build up the back of his head, and we're going to take it right up to the black and the white, and leave it loose. And we're going to poke this in. I really don't think he's too crummy for a on-the-fly raccoon. He's pretty cute. So look at all that fluff. Now that is way too much fluff. So I like to take, you kind of got to visualize where you want it and cut it at an angle this way, and then at an angle this way. It's a good thing I was never a cosmetologist. It's a good thing I have a day job. How cute is that? It's pretty cute. Okay, but he's still missing one thing. He is missing his tail. And then you can poke a little bit here and there to get this to go more how you want it. Pretty cute though. Okay, so next up, let's get some tail done here. All right, so we have this little tail hanging out back here. And basically all you're gonna do is you wanna make this little ring tail. So we're just gonna wrap it, secure it. And let's wrap it around. Gotta secure this because I ran out. That is too skinny to start putting stripes on. So we've used not even 1/4 ounce of gray to make this little raccoon. Probably equal amounts of core wool. It doesn't take much. You have some little gray scraps. I saw that pandas come in beige, like a beige and white color too. It's a different kind of panda. I said panda. Raccoon comes in a different color than gray and black. Pretty cute. Pandas come in a lot of colors too. So you're just going to cover his little tail like that, and then just take some black. I make 3 stripes in the very end. So I do 1 stripe here. Just wrap it around and tack it. It doesn't have to be super felted. I like them to get a little skinnier as they go, so they're not all the same. We actually have a raccoon running around here that does not have a tail. I wonder what happened to his tail. Probably my guardian dogs happened to his tail. But definitely does not have a tail. Kind of work these stripes a little bit. And then just put a little piece on the end. Can kind of bring it to a point or just leave it a little bit round so it's flippy. So there is one little raccoon. Oh, he's missing his white fluff. You don't have to put this on, but I like it. I just take a little extra piece of white, tack it under his chin. And bring it down here. Give him a little white fluff on his chest. Just makes him cuter. There you go, one little teeny raccoon. Now, if you want to make him super cute, I made a little tiny Santa hat, and I'm going to poke it on his head. I always comb this out with my needle. And then you can give him a tiny little scarf with another little piece of that same red roving. Just a tiny little red scarf. It's going to be ready for Christmas. Actually, that was not long enough. Let me get a longer piece. Now it's long enough. I mean, how cute would this be on the Christmas tree? It'd be so cute. Look at that. It's got a little scarf. Let's tack it in here. So then if I was going to hang him, I'd hang him through his hat. But now he's got a scarf and a hat. And no raccoon would be complete without some blush on his little cheeks. Hold on a second here. In his ears. Let's put a little pink in his ears. Put a little pink on his cheeks. He's cold. That's why he has to wear all his stuff. And then we can give him a little gift. I mean, how cute would this be on the tree? Seriously. I might need to trim a little bit more of his white. Thinning shears, if you have like thinning shears, they're good too. Just want this to be in like a point. And you just got to keep working it till you get it how you like it. There you have it. One little Christmas ornament raccoon. Is he not the cutest? What do you think, Cannon? He's very cute. Thanks for joining me today as we made our cute little raccoon ornaments. And I showed you how to dress them up a little bit. Fun times. Make sure you click like and then follow us. It really helps us out. And head over to the Liongate Farm Facebook group and share your raccoons. I want to see them. And then if you need supplies, head over to the farm store at liongate.org. See you next time.